Good evening, everybody. I'm very excited to be here. Out of the many hats that I wear, this is my favorite one when I get to be in a room full of women and an amazing gentleman and teach about things that can make us stronger and more empowered and have more voices. So this is like my passion project on earth. Quick background on me, I wear two hats. Right now I'm the COO of a single family office. How many people know what that is? You do? Yay! Okay, so I'll explain what it is. A single family office is the name when a family is so wealthy that they manage all their money in-house and they do all their investments in-house. So a lot of people have a financial advisor. That's when you have, you know, enough money to have a financial advisor, but a financial advisor might have many clients. A single family has enough money that they bring all the people in-house. So it's their, you know, in-house money management. And so we mainly do private deals into private companies. So you know how you can buy stocks on the stock market? That's publicly traded stocks. I don't do that. I do when somebody has a company and they want money for their company. So that's one hat that I wear. The second hat is I run an advisory firm, and through that advisory firm we advise families on how to make these investments. And we also advise companies on how to grow, build strategy, take it to the next level, build out management teams, and also raise private funding. So let me get a show of hands. How many people in here own their own business? Hi, so I can see. Okay. And then how many people in here are completely corporate or somebody else gives you a paycheck? Okay, awesome. So I tried to tailor the presentation for both. I'm a very interactive speaker. So it's very important to me if I'm saying something that you don't understand, stop and ask me a question right away, and I want to have a discussion. I gave a very similar presentation not too long ago, and based on the audience and their questions, we took it completely offline and we didn't finish the slides, which I'm totally okay with. Like, this is not like read slides to you. It is more making sure that you are going to get what you need out of this. And just so you'll know, when I talk about managing your financials and your budget for your company, it's the same thing if you work in a corporation and you're part of a department. That department has a budget and it has a P&L. And you might not be in charge of it, but your boss or your boss's boss or your boss's boss's boss is. And so what we want to start doing now is learning how can we start doing that piece, because once we do that piece and we manage the budget, whether it's for ourselves or our company, that's when we really have the power. Okay? So let me get started over here. All right, so we're going to talk about 5 different areas here. We're going to talk about why do financials matter for you. Then we're going to go through some terminology and documentation. Then we're going to have some hands-on, some guidelines, some how-tos. There's a section that's specifically for corporate, and there's a section that's specifically for if you own your own business. Then I'm going to talk about some learning and resources and tips and tricks, and then we'll do some homework and next steps for you guys. So the first thing is, why do financials matter about you? Everybody should be in charge of their own finances because money and financials are power. Okay? And I know it seems scary, but hopefully my dream and wish is that at the end of this evening, you guys are all gonna be like, I got this. It's super easy, because that's what the bottom line is. And I can say this, I feel like your ears are kind of covered, so that's good, because I'm gonna say a lot of things about men. I love men, don't get me wrong, but I work with many men all the time, and what I will tell you is this. They fake it all the time. They have no idea what they're talking about. They have no idea what they're doing, but they show up in there with their little model and they act like they know the numbers. So there's no reason we shouldn't be doing that as well. Okay. So what we talked about is gaining power and influence, okay? When you are in control of the finances, whether it's for your family, your business, your company that you work for, your boss, whatever, that is going to give you access, and it's going to give you a seat at every table. You know how they keep saying we can't make as much money as men? That's because we're not sitting at the table where the money decisions are made. And the money decisions are made with the people who have the spreadsheets and the numbers. So the closer that you can get to the spreadsheet and the numbers, the more power you have and the more ways you can make decisions and have access for yourself. So the first thing is, you guys need to go to work tomorrow and figure out, talk to your boss or your boss's boss or your peer and be like, hey, Who manages the profit and loss for this department? I'm in the marketing department. Who manages that? They're like, that's Betty. Okay, Betty's my boss's boss. Awesome. Go sit with Betty and be like, hey, Betty, I want to understand this. Like, tell me what it's like. Do you have quarterly budget meetings? Like, how can I help learn more? How can I help contribute? Does that make sense to everybody? Okay. And if you manage your own business, you should have a financial model, a budget, and you should have a way that you keep track of what you're actually making and spending, and you should look at that every month. So we're going to go through those details. Also, understanding what the numbers are, especially when you manage your own business or you're in a company and you're trying to make decisions. If you have data, you can make better decisions. Should we order more leggings next month? I own a fitness studio and we're trying to like sell more leggings. Should I order more leggings? Like, if I try and answer that question in a vacuum, I'm like, I don't know. But if I start looking at numbers and I look at the last 12 months, I was selling out of leggings every one of the prior 12 months. So obviously I should order more leggings. Or if you're in a company and you guys offer 5 different kinds of services and you realize all your customers are only buying 2 of the services, well, maybe let's delete those 3 ones that nobody's buying and let's put all our resources towards the other 2. So financials and numbers give you data, and data allows you to make better decisions. Does that make sense? Okay. So I have a little audience interaction question now. So I want to know how many people here feel that money is super important and you're really like into it and you want to talk about it and learn about it. That's the first question. The second one is how many people here are a little scared of it or it's been a challenge? So the first piece is who thinks it's super important and you're excited about learning about it? Okay. And who feels that it's been a bit of a challenge and it's something you're scared of and you're not really sure about, so you've kind of like put it over here, including your personal budgets and, okay, perfect. Thank you all for your honesty, by the way. This only works if you're honest. Okay, so now we're gonna learn what some documents are. How many people know what an income statement or a P&L is? Okay, that's about half. So an income statement, P&L stands for profit and loss, and income statement means what it means, how much income. So how much profit, how much loss. So it's a spreadsheet typically, and in the spreadsheet it talks about how much you've made, income or profit, and how much you've spent, expenses, and then at the bottom it says, oh, you made more than you spent, or you spent more than you made. So most companies, this is like the bread and butter. It's the And it's for every quarter or every month or every year. You can look at the numbers and say, okay, how much money did we make this quarter? How much expenses did we have? Are we in the red, which means we spent more than we made, or in the black, right? So one thing I encourage you to do, because I don't have like a super amount of time, so make sure that whatever I talk about that you don't fully understand, Google. Google will answer all these questions. A balance sheet is a snapshot of a period of time of all the assets and all the liabilities. So assets are things you own, buildings, desks, chairs. And then liabilities are money that you owe, bank loans, et cetera, et cetera. It's different than the things that are on the profit loss. This is not an accounting course, so we're not going to necessarily get into those details, but this is just a survey course. Statement of cash flows literally shows how much cash is coming in and how much cash is going out. If you do your books in a certain way that they call cash basis, it should kind of match up with your income statement PL. If you do your books on accrual, which is this weird accounting thing that technically never made sense to me, then it's not going to be matched up. But cash is king, so know this. Like, how many people here have heard of the Enron scandal? You know, okay. The Enron, I actually worked on this transaction, unfortunately, in my early career. I started at Arthur Andersen, may it rest in peace. So the whole thing with the Enron scandal was that the way they were reporting did not match up with what was happening. So cash was going out, but the crazy weird accounting rules allowed them to say, oh, it's really not going out or whatever. So that's why cash is king, and I think that especially if you own your own business, like, make sure you work with your accountant or bookkeeper if you're doing it yourself to understand the cash that's coming in and the cash that's going out every month. Because even if you put out a bunch of invoices, but if the cash doesn't come in and you still have to pay rent, like, what are you going to pay rent with? A smile, you know? So it's the cash flow, I think, that's super important in businesses. A budget or a financial model is a projection. So all the first three things, the first three bullets under documents, those are actual things that are in reality. But a budget or a financial model is a projection. So you're saying, I think I'm going to make this much next month, and I think I'm going to spend this much. And a financial model, same way. It's a projection in the future. It's you predicting what you think. When you own your own business and you are trying to raise money, you need to have a financial model. Many women don't because they're scared and they say, well, I don't know what I'm going to make. I don't know how much I'm going to sell. Nobody knows. Financial projections are never correct. It is impossible for them to be correct because they're a guesstimate. Like, that's the purpose of them. You're guessing and projecting and predicting what you think will happen. Women, when we build them, are better at the projections. We're more thorough, we're more labor intensive, we do more homework, we do more research, so our projections are better if we would build them. Our biggest issue as women is we don't build financial models. So we need to start building them. You need to do your best at projecting. No, it's not going to be correct, but having a projection that's incorrect is better than having no projection at all. Cap table, capitalization table means who owns what in your business. And then here kind of where I put like the big categories. So personal finances or managing your own personal money, your own personal budget, asking for raises. Raising capital is raising capital for your business. And then growing a business or managing a P&L is for if you're in a corporate environment. Any questions so far? Okay, so these are the 4 hands-on areas we're going to tackle. 7 tips for managing your business financial health. You can apply this to your personal financial health too. You can apply it to if you manage a department at your work. You can apply it however you want. I mean, adapt these. They're not, you know, these are all like you take what works for you, you leave the ones that don't. We're going to talk about how to build a budget financial model that can be for your business or your personal life or your company. We're going to talk about how to raise capital. That's only if you work in a startup or you own your own business and you need capital. And then we're going to talk about how to grow a business and manage a P&L. So here's my 7 tips, okay? First thing is, know that you're not alone. You're always going to have ups and downs financially. I think this is really important because a lot of people avoid dealing with this stuff because they think, oh, I'm not doing it right, or oh, I'm the only one that has this issue. Like, numbers and financials, nobody does it right or perfectly. It is just a matter of doing it. It's about practice. So the first time you do it and you sit down and you put some numbers in a spreadsheet or you work with your accountant or bookkeeper, it's less scary, and then it becomes less scary, and then you actually get good at it. This is not something where you like either have raw talent or you don't. It is 100% practice, okay? It's like the blowout. Like, people are good at blowouts from practice. People are good at hair coloring because they have a gift, okay? This is not a gift activity. This is a, I make really weird analogies sometimes. This is a practice activity. So everybody's in the same boat when they start a business. Nobody was born being super good at doing numbers, okay? Even if you're good at numbers, you still have to learn how to do it in that scenario. The second thing is you need to take control and ownership of this. If you sweep it under the rug or put it in the corner, it's going to become a problem, and then you're going to have a massive issue to deal with. So you need to understand the reality of your numbers. The first exercise everybody needs to do when they leave here over the next week or this weekend, write down everything that you have cash-wise, everything in your bank accounts, everything in your investments, all the debt you owe. Get it all on one piece of paper. You know, that sounds super scary. Just do it. At least you know. I mean, it already exists. Like, it doesn't make it worse writing it down, right? And then you want to understand what comes in and goes out every month. So make sure you have a budget, whether it's for your business or yourself. Like, write it down. This is my rent. I spend all this money on Via and taxis because Via and Uber never comes. I spend this much on the subway. Oh my gosh, I'm spending all this on lunch. I need to start bringing my lunch. But write it down. Engage in the exercise. And then spend time looking at it every month and comparing it and going, oh my gosh, I said I was only going to spend $500 eating out, but I spent $700. Like, hello, okay? And cash flow is king. We talked about that already. So it's about what's coming in and what's going out. And if you prepare a budget, you'll always have the data and information you need. All right. The other thing is, especially if you own a business, you need a good CPA and a good bookkeeper. If you want to do it yourself, that's awesome. So a lot of people do. Your CPA needs to be licensed, certified, and then you need to have a discussion with them twice a year, 4 times a year, whatever, about planning opportunities. Owning your own business is the best way to not pay taxes, because you can write off a lot of stuff as expenses. For instance, if you're in the media world, you can write off your hair and makeup and clothes and whatever. So I probably should start writing off my blowouts, huh? I don't think about that. Look at me, I'm up here like taking my own advice. A bookkeeper is not a licensed position, so you will have to work with them to see if you like them or not. Most important part is the last bullet. If it's not working out, let them go and find another one. This is your money. If you don't love this human, get rid of them. There are lots of people. We're in the largest city in America. You'll find other people. The best place to find these people is to ask your friends, people you respect, people you work with, and say, hey, do you have a bookkeeper you really like, or an accountant or whatever? If you don't know which one to use, like, talk to people. But people have good people that they like. Number 4, never let anyone else sign your checks. A person I used to work with did a lot of work with Oprah, and that was the one major thing she learned from Oprah. Oprah does not let anybody else sign her checks. That's how they steal from you. Okay. So you're going to schedule a monthly meeting with yourself and your bookkeeper and accountant if you have a business or whatever, and you're going to look at everything. You're going to put it in your calendar every month. I have a little spreadsheet on my computer. I say, this is what I'm going to spend on these things. Oh, I do my projections. These are the trips I'm taking. I have my friend's bridal shower I have to save money for, whatever I have to put. Then at the end of the month, I look, and I go back and I review. And if you have a bookkeeper or accountant, you need to go through this exercise with them every single month. If they don't want to do it with you, get another one. A lot of them don't like to do it. And a lot of them, they make you use the software, the QuickBooks that comes out of the box, and it has all these weird categories, and you're like, what do these categories mean? You can change them all to make sense for you. If your bookkeeper doesn't want to work with you to do that and doesn't help you organize these things in a way that are clear for you, get another one. Okay, so this is the other thing. You need to educate yourself on this stuff. If this course was enough and you got what you needed and you're like, okay, I feel comfortable now, awesome. If you've literally never taken a business class and this is the only discussion in your life you've had, carve out some time to learn about this and figure out a learning style that works for you. If you like a classroom environment, go find a place to take a class. They have like leisure learning and whatever. If you want somebody to teach you, ask a mentor, ask a friend. If you're a book learner, then do a book. There's lots of awesome YouTube videos to learn about this stuff. I actually filmed a video series that teaches how to raise funding. I have the link at the end, but like there are a ton of resources. There's like Teachable, and there's like, what's that other really great course thing or whatever. I mean, there's so much cool stuff out there. So it's important that you take some time and learn about it. Get a book. There's all those for Dummies series. I love them. When I bought my home, I bought like How to Buy a Home for Dummies. It was awesome. It told you everything you needed. Okay, if you have debt, it's okay. Like, I am here to say it is okay. We live in New York. It is almost impossible to live here without debt, especially if you're incurring the debt to develop yourself or to take courses that are helping you or to take a trip to go to a conference that's going to be helpful. If you're just buying silly stuff, that's not great. But anyway, the point is, make a list of all the debt you owe, your student loan, your mortgage, all your credit cards, whatever, and make a plan to pay it off. There's all kinds of strategies on how to do that. The most important thing is to pay off the highest interest rate one first. There's all this consolidated stuff, but commit to getting rid of the debt. We all hate it. It sucks. Like, get rid of it. Put it on a piece of paper. Commit to yourself and do it, and put it in your budget. Every month you're going to spend a couple $100s or whatever it is on paying off. Okay, how to build a financial model. You all should have a spreadsheet that's passed out, except for, is that the whole spreadsheet or half of it? So this is obviously a course in and of itself, but this is the whole thing. Okay, so it's super easy to build a financial model. You open up Excel, and you write two things, revenue and expenses. Under revenue, You write as many ways as you can make money. If you're doing it for your personal business, then you write, if you're selling, face cream, you go day cream, night cream, wrinkle cream, acne cream. You write all the different types of cream. If you're doing it for your personal, you write down all the different ways you make money. If you own a business and you do other things on the side, you're going to write each of those. If you just have one job and the only way you make money is from your paycheck, then you write paycheck and that. But the top part is revenue. The bottom part is expenses. If it's for your personal, rent, transportation, food, dry cleaning, dog sitter, write all the things you spend money on. If it's for your business, same thing. There's no rules here, you guys. Now, the most important part is these are living, breathing documents. So let's say you sit down and you write all this stuff down, okay? Put it away and come back to it next week and review it. You're going to add more stuff. And then the following week, you'll add more stuff. You're always going to think of more stuff until it's finalized. So understand this is not an exercise you're going to do tomorrow and everything's going to be perfect. Like, you have to commit time to do this every week. Or every month, whatever works for you. And then you'll see at the bottom of the handout, which it got cut off on the slide, but it shows cash flow requirements. So if you're actually doing this for your business, it allows you to add up, okay, this is how much cash is coming in. And in the beginning, it's a brand new company. I'm not making that much, and my expenses are way more. So it shows you'll have a cash flow deficit, and that's usually how you figure out how much investment funding you need. You add up all the negatives, and if it comes up to $1 million, that's how much capital you need to raise. It's kind of an easy concept. The most important part is you got to get all the right numbers in there. As women, we tend to go, well, if I write that I need less, maybe they'll give it to me. It doesn't work that way. Like, if you don't get what you need to build the business, it doesn't matter if you almost finish the marathon. Like, you got to finish the marathon. So take the time to really sit down and list out all the things you need. Don't be scared to say, I really need this much money to do this thing. I will never forget, I worked on a project, and she was like, I need to buy this $3,000 Pucci dress. And I'm like, why? Like, that doesn't even make sense to me. She went through this whole explanation about how if she went into Barney's looking like she didn't need their purchase order and that she already looked the part, then they were going to give her this purchase order. So I was like, all right, fine. I mean, whatever. And sure enough, it worked. She walked in there with her sunglasses and looking like $1 million, and they're like, oh, who is this, right? So my point to you is, it may not make sense, and it might not be frugal or budget friendly, but if you think you really need it to run your business well, then ask for it. If you don't ask, you're not going to get it. We're not putting all the stuff we need in our financial models. We need to be. Okay, any questions? Oh, I guess I have to turn around to see. No questions. I see a hand. What? No? Are you sure?
No. Do you recommend Mint, for example?
Yes. Okay, that's a great. I should add this. I'm so old. This presentation started before an app existed. There are so many really cool apps now. There's Mint, and then there's that other one. Is it called Arrow or Acorn or whatever? Acorn. Yeah, and it collects extra change. There are so many cool apps to manage all this stuff. Yes. Put it on your phone, make it easy for yourself, whatever. I'm old school with a spreadsheet on my computer, but yeah, I think that's a great question. I need to add that. Okay, so I'm going to go through how to raise capital really quickly. Can I have a time check?
It is 7:10.
And when do I have to be done?
About a half an hour, give or take.
Okay, half an hour from now. Okay, so give me a show of hands again. Who actually owns their own business? Okay. Has anybody here raised capital?
And across the brand.
Okay. How much money are you raising?
We're raising $3.5 million.
Okay. And have you raised before?
No, just from years.
Okay. Has anybody else raised capital? Does anybody else need to? You have? Yes.
Yeah, well, I raised it in a student accelerator.
Okay.
So, yeah,
Okay.
I got $5 grand.
Good for you. No, and you don't need to.
I do. I just it's under the carpet, and I'm terrified.
No. I'm going to make you sit right there. So See, that's part of it. When you say you don't know what you're doing, like, you do know what you're doing because you have me here telling you what to do. Like, nobody knows what. Nobody, I always say this, nobody was born knowing how to raise capital. You learn. I had to learn. I mean, I was awful at it in the beginning because it was my first time and I wasn't awful. Let me rephrase that. I was not as confident in the beginning because it was my first time. I'm like, they're not going to give me this money. Well, sure enough, they did. Okay, so this is for the people who are raising capital, but also anybody that has a corporate job who wants a raise or wants to get to the next level in their business. I invite you to consider all these things will last and apply to a corporate situation. First thing is mindset. Raising capital, getting a raise is like training for the Olympics. You don't just wake up one day and be like, I'm going to raise some capital, and then the capital comes. No, you're going to work every single day at this. Same thing with your raise. You want a massive raise? Every day you're going to work at it, okay? If you think you can, you will. If you think you can't, you won't. The reason that people can't raise capital or can't get a raise is they go like this. I really need some capital. I really need you to give me a raise. Or, I need a raise. I really need capital. You have to believe inside of yourself that you deserve the money, okay? You have to do whatever it takes to make yourself believe you deserve the money. If it means standing in front of your mirror every day going, I deserve to get $3.5 million? I deserve to get $3.5 million. Every single day, you're gonna write it on little things or whatever, okay? This is like this mental numbers energy game. Dudes walk in there and they're like, I need to get my money, right? And they get funded all the time. I'm like yelling, sorry. You can tell I'm passionate about this. That's what men do. Why are we not doing that? I don't know. Okay, so our job every single day, you need to meditate, you need to journal, you need to beach walk, you need to do whatever you need to do to get, you're laughing at me, I'm not joking. I had to do this stuff. You have to build your confidence and you have to build your mindset. If you don't have the mindset, you will not raise capital. I don't care how good your business is because investors read energy and your energy rolls up in the room before you do. Okay? So you can have every I dotted, every T crossed, your perfect financial model, you have this great team, but if you don't feel like you own it and deserve it, they're not going to give you the money. So preparation, again, training for the Olympics. Every day you're going to spend time on learning what the numbers are, understanding what the current situation is, okay? This is the most important part of this, is you're going to do the work every day. If you're building a financial model, then you're going to actually work on your financial model every day. If you're asking for a raise, you're going to carve out time every single day, probably not on your work computer, maybe on your phone or your home computer, to do the research about what are other people in the industry making, what is the market doing. That preparation piece is super, super important. Nothing will give you more confidence to raising funding than knowing that there is literally nothing else that you could have done to raise the capital. Okay? It's like doing your homework. Remember in math class when you got the answer right but you didn't show any of your work, you got a C? It's the same way with raising capital. If you show all your work and you've done all this research and you have all that research organized in a Dropbox data room and you go into that investor meeting and you know this stuff backwards and forwards, you know the numbers, you know your projections are right, you know exactly how much your competitors sold, and they ask you all these hard questions, what do? You press a little thing and it pops up. Here's the answer and here's why, and you can show them on your computer. There's nothing that empowers you more than that. So when you're doing the mindset piece, it also goes in combination with the preparation. You can't just, this is not like a magic wand activity. Like, you have to do the work as well, okay? Market understanding is all about understanding the fact that the money is controlled by people who don't exactly look like us. They're more male. And so I'm not here to argue about that. I know that's the facts, okay? One of my favorite business books is called The 50th Law. You guys should all write this down and read it. It's written by 50 Cent the rapper, and then a man named Robert Greene, who wrote the 48 Laws of Power. He's a motivational speaker. And in it, 50 has like 10 rules of life and business, okay? I know he had a little bankruptcy issue, but his book's still super good. And he talks about intense realism. There's a whole chapter about intense realism. The reality of the situation is people who don't look like us control the money. And they like things in a certain way to be able to give up the money. That's what market understanding is. Learn what the rules of the game are. Don't spend any time at all arguing or complaining or fretting about the fact that we're not getting funded. Spend your time sitting at the table where the funding's happening, learning and watching. There's a game out there that has rules. Don't try and complain about the rules. Learn them so you can win the game. It's the only reason I have success in my career. When I started, I was the only female in my room, and there was like these women over here saying this, and like these guys are doing the deals. I'm like, well, I want to go over there. Now, did it take longer for them to invite me to sit at the table? Yes, I can't change that. I'm not a boy. But I'm at the table now. And so this is what I'm inviting everybody. Like, there's nothing secret or magical about it. It exists out there. It's clear what they need. You have to listen to them. Too many times we don't listen. I went to a presentation once where somebody from Gotham Ventures was talking about how they invest, okay? One of the largest venture capital funds on the planet. The lady next to me whispers in my ear, I can't believe we're listening to this horse shit. And I was like, shh. What do you mean horse shit? Like, these people literally are some of the most successful venture capitalists on planet Earth. So if you want to be in this field, you need to learn what they do. Like, if you don't like what they do or you want to argue with it, do something else with your life. But if you want to be in the field of business, then understand what the rules are. Like, I didn't create the rules. What I want to do is empower everybody to get financial freedom and financial success so we control the money. Don't fight the system. Learn how to work within it in the best way so we win. Meet with as many investors as you can. Tell me what you like. Tell me what you don't like. If you want to raise, meet with every single department head. Get a mentor. Talk to your peers. Like, do everything you can to figure out what are these rules and how do I work within the rules to win. Number 4 is numbers. We've talked about this 900 times. Poor financials never take the place of pretty pitch decks, okay? If you have this gorgeous pitch deck and your company is amazing, but there's no good numbers, nobody is giving you money. Numbers are the only thing that matter. The first deal I did, I raised $10 million for a skin care company. I had 3 pages of a Word document typed, but I had an amazing financial model. Numbers are what matters. When it comes to asking for a raise, if you understand the way that your department makes money, and you can say to your boss, look, this is how I'm going to make you money, or this is how we make money, or this is how, okay? If you can talk numbers and you understand the numbers, that's how you get ahead. Sit at home or at your desk and do as much research as you can so you're understanding the numbers. That way you can talk the talk. And then number 5 is hustle and close, my favorite one. The people that are successful in getting a raise or raising funding are the ones who don't stop, okay? This whole business thing is all about perseverance. You can read all these motivational speakers. It's the truth. Like, the people who end up getting what they want to need are the ones that are left standing. So you're going to hear all kinds of negative feedback. People are going to say crazy things to you. You make a decision whether or not you're going to allow that to stop you in your tracks and become an obstacle that pushes you off the course, or just something that you're like move past this. Oh, that guy said I was like, whatever. Okay, oh, they didn't give me the raise. I'm going to go. You keep moving. I had one guy tell me one time, he was like, you really need to do all your business over the phone. I'm like, why? He's like, because you're so pretty, nobody would believe you're as smart as you are. I'm like, took me a minute to recover. And I said, well, I'm not getting any dumber or uglier, so you're going to have to deal with it, okay? We could sit here over and over. We can all say the crazy stuff that's been said to us. We've all heard crazy things, okay? Oh, the men hit on us. Okay, how is this news? Men hit on women. Like, move past it. Move past it. Just make it a distraction. Don't let it rise to the level of pulling you off your path. one fun activity to do is to get together with your girlfriends, or you guys could do this in the group, and write all the crazy stuff that you've heard in your career. I bet you have some good stuff too, huh? Especially in your industry. Write it all down, read it out loud to each other over wine, and laugh your asses off, then burn it and be done with it and be like, okay, all these people. Look, I just sat, this happens all the time. I just sat on a panel, I don't know, like last year, maybe 6 months ago, with 2 old white dudes in Chicago, the bank, whatever, trust building. And literally one of them came to me afterwards and he was like, you were pretty good. He's like, I didn't think you were gonna be good for a girl. I was like, dude, it's like 2018. Like, you can't even talk like that. But he did to me 6 months ago. And I just laughed. Of course, I can get my feelings hurt and cry and whatever, but it doesn't matter. They say stupid stuff. They can't help it sometimes. Just ignore them. And also, look, let's be honest. Other women say crazy stuff too. Sometimes we say crazier stuff than they do. Okay, so here's a piece about how to grow a business, manage a P&L, but again, you can do this with your own personal finances. I'm trying to make this apply to everybody, so apply this. But it's important to do monthly appointments with yourself, with your bookkeeper. Carve out a minute on Sunday, on, whenever it is, the first of the month. And look at what's going on. Look at your numbers. If you made a budget, did I stick to my budget? Spend 5, 10, 20 minutes on it. And then also maybe during that, maybe carve out a whole hour, do your number piece for a bit, and then maybe for 15 minutes read about how do I make a financial model or what is an income statement. Make an appointment with yourself to spend some time on this stuff. Put it in your calendar and make it as important as a client meeting or a doctor's appointment or calling your mom on her birthday, right? Just make it a priority in your life. We talked about doing budget to actual, so if you have a budget, you want to compare it to what you spent. And then curiosity and questioning is the most important when you own a business. You have to look in your numbers every single month, and especially if a bookkeeper's doing them or somebody on your team or whatever, if it doesn't make sense to you, ask. My favorite example is I had this client once. We were looking in the numbers, and there was this $5,000 charge. I was like, what is that? It said like general, whatever, whatever. I'm like, what does that mean? We don't know. I go find out. They had an actual store. It's like a brick and mortar, like it was a fitness studio, so people were coming in. The $5,000 was toilet paper, okay? I'm like, you guys are literally flushing money down the drain. And then we used all the funny memes with, when they have the like cash on the toilet paper roll. Literally, we have this whole text chain about it. It was because they were buying the toilet paper at like the expensive convenience store gas station. The next year, they started buying it through one of those bulk wholesale. It was $150. So I use this example to tell you, in the 20 years that I've been doing things with numbers and spreadsheets, it's never some big, ginormous smoking gun of, oh, look, I found an extra 50 million. The devil's in the little details, and you add up the little pieces. That's why it's super important. You sit down with your bookkeeper, and you go through each thing, and what's that? What's that? I don't understand that. If it's not clear that that was dry cleaning or lipstick or laundry, then ask questions. Curiosity and questioning. That's the difference between the people who are really good at this and that. In your companies, if you're involved in the numbers process, get in there. A really good way to learn is to sit on a nonprofit board and review their budgets. And you can start learning there, and you can ask questions there. So I'm sure all you guys might be involved with a nonprofit or have access. I don't even know if this is a nonprofit, but the point is, get yourself in a situation where you're looking at spreadsheets and numbers and questioning. Any questions? The 50th law, like 50th law. Okay. I'm going to pause for a minute. Does anybody have any questions, thoughts? Yes, no, maybe? Okay. So we have talked a little bit about some of these things, but again, I want to emphasize the importance, I think, of educating yourself in this area, okay? So the purpose, what I tried to do today was at least give you a broad brush survey of all the different financial components. Now, One thing that I don't do, I am not a financial advisor and I can't really talk about investing your money. But again, if that's something, if you have money and you want to start investing it, that is something that you should research and look into. I have a friend who's super good at this, and I'm happy to refer anybody to her. She's a female and she's awesome. And even if you have like $5,000 and you're like, I have $5,000, I want it to grow for me, or you have $2,500, whatever it is, I'm happy to refer you guys to her. I just can't, for licensing and legal reasons, talk about that piece. But also, you should be paying off your debt. Once you've paid off your debt, you should have some savings. You want to at least have 6 months of expenses, probably more here in this city. And then once you've done that, so you have no debt and you have a nice little chunk of cash, then you want to start investing your money. And if anybody's interested in that, you can email me, connect with me on LinkedIn or whatever, and I will. It's better if you actually email me. I will connect you with my friend. Her name is Marley. She's awesome. And she actually could do a whole, I don't know what y'all's programming is, but she could do a whole thing on that piece of it for this group. She's awesome. We talked about finding some mentors. So at the very least, you guys can form accountability groups and accountability circles. So you might not feel comfortable talking to your boss about, how do I learn about our company's P&L, right? But maybe you have a friend that you know like is an accounting major and she works with you. Be like, hey, do you mind if we get a lunch once a month and talk about this stuff? Like, use your resources around you to learn from. So speaking of mentors in general, so I think you should have mentors for different areas of your life, okay? I don't think you should get all your advice from one person. So you can have a person who helps you accelerate in your career mentor, and you're gonna choose the person that you think has the most successful career, right? I asked one of my friends to be a marriage mentor for me because I was like, I really want to meet somebody and get married, and she had been proposed to like 6 times, okay? I would never ask her career advice, never. But she knew how to get boys to ask her to marry them, so I'm like, I also had a friend that I called her my difficult conversation mentor. Every time I had to fire a client or a person or have a really difficult conversation, break up with a boyfriend, she was my person that I would like go through it with her and we would role play. So in this area, like if you need help figuring out how to do your own investments, find somebody that you know has been doing their investments well and ask them to talk to you about it. I call all of this informational interviewing. Hey, can we go to lunch? I want to talk to you about XYZ. If you want help building your financial model, find some people, especially in this city. We have so many resources. I give this talk sometimes in like rando places. They don't have all these startup entrepreneurial groups. Like, we are blessed to be in this city that has so many resources for any type of thing that you want to accomplish. So figure out how you can get the mentorship that you need in the area that you need it. If you want to figure out how to get a raise, start asking questions, ask around. If you have a girlfriend that you know gets a raise every 6 months and she is killing it, and she's the one that's paying for the expensive wine at the bar, be like, how did you do that? One thing as women that I think that we should do better is we should celebrate those of us who have been successful and ask each other, how did we do that? Versus sit in the corner and talk about each other. I can't believe she blah, blah, blah. No, go ask her. She's doing what you want to do. So getting the right mentors and support team around this and around the finances and people that will be honest with you in your career are important. We talked about classes. There's a lot of universities here that you can audit classes. There's leisure learning classes. There's online learning classes. Figure out what it is you need to know how to do and take a class. We talked about the books. 50th Law is my favorite book. There's a bunch of entrepreneurial books about how to build companies, how to make money. There's all, you know, the lean startup and the E-Myth and blah. There's all these things, right? There's no one size fits all. Go to the bookstore, browse on Amazon, see what resonates with you. The bottom line is you need to educate yourself and learn. This is, what did I say at the beginning? Nobody's born knowing how to do this. The people who are good at this have been doing it over and over for a long time. So I hope that this evening what I've done is really communicate to you that each person in this room can be up here teaching this class. Like, I'm not special. I've just been doing it for a long time and I wanted to get good at it. So that takes me to the first bullet under tips and tricks, okay? This is how I got ahead in my getting good at finances in my career. Every time there was a hard project at work, I volunteered for it immediately. And I used to tell my boss, I want to do the hard things because I want to learn. I was a nerd. I stayed in at recess when I was a kid and asked the teacher for more homework, okay? So this is a theme in my life. But the bottom line is you want to get good at something, figure it out at your office. Let your boss pay you to learn. Do you have a day job as well as owning your own business? How did I know that? Go volunteer for financial projects. Get like the experience. Let him pay you. Let him teach you. Ask questions, and then like bring it home and apply it to your business. Surround yourself with a great financial team. You need a really good bookkeeper, CPA, lawyer, those kind of people. If you don't like them, if they're not serving you, if they're charging you too much money, fire them and get new ones. There are plenty of people out there, especially here in Manhattan. And then we already talked about maintaining check writing control. That is super important, especially when you have your business. It's okay for your bookkeeper to see your bank account so he can pull down the statements and do whatever he needs to do, but you never want them to have access. And also, a lot of times people will forge your signature on checks, so make sure they don't have access to be able to do that. I just spoke to a woman yesterday who had millions of dollars embezzled from her company because one of her partners was like forging her signature. So just always, if you do your budget to actual every month, these things do not happen because you see where's that money going. I worked on a project once. The investors brought us in to help them. They said, revenues have been declining, but we're selling more than ever. It doesn't make sense. Or profit is declining, we're selling more than ever. Turned out one of their management team was like siphoning out money and like buying apartment buildings or whatever and like doing massive fraud. And because they were watching the numbers so closely, they caught it relatively quickly. So the more that you can get yourself in a position where you're looking at the numbers and having these conversations, and especially when you all get to different places in your career and you're super successful and you're investing your own money into other companies, you want to do the same thing. You want to do a budget to actual. You want to sit down with them on a quarterly basis and look at the numbers. We gave you $5 million as an investment. What did you spend it on? What is this $5,000 of toilet paper? You know, I mean, these are all questions that are important to ask. So I want to be very clear that no one is good or perfect at this. There are no wrong questions. The only wrong thing to do is ignore the whole thing. But if you're sitting down and there are numbers involved, ask. If people laugh at you, laugh right back. I wasn't scared to ask questions. I wasn't scared to learn. I wasn't scared to say, I don't understand this. Because the bottom line is, if you don't understand, the chick next to you doesn't either, and neither does that guy, and neither does that guy. And they're gonna be relieved that you asked the question. So in your companies, try and put yourself in a position where you can be involved with the numbers and asking questions about the numbers. If you're in a sales role, you have sales numbers. Well, ask, how do these roll up? I know that I manage this little piece of the budget or the P&L or whatever it is, but say, how does that fit into the bigger picture? If you manage a team, help them understand what the numbers are. Just so you know, this is how much we pay you, this is how much you brought in, you cost us money last week, you know? So you want to be involved and engaged. There's no right or wrong way to do it. It doesn't matter what you think you're supposed to do or not supposed to do. Find a style that works well for you and try it on. You know, it's like dipping your foot in the pool. Oh, it's cold. And then you just jump in. Just jump in. Like, it's not that scary. It really isn't. And it's the number one thing that as women we can do to better empower ourselves. We make a lot of financial decisions and we control a lot of finances, but I don't think we're necessarily staying in the details as much as we need to. Okay? Any questions? Y'all are such a quiet group. My other group, like, they were like yelling at me all the time. I was like, okay, so here's kind of your homework and your next steps, okay? I want everybody to set their financial goals for 2019. So I want to get a raise. I want to get my company funded. I want to save $5,000, whatever it is. Carve out some time to do this. then commit to either reading one book, taking one class, watching one video, one learning activity in this space. I'm only up here for an hour. I can't teach you everything there is about finance, right? So you want to commit to like learning. And then I really think it's important to have a formal accountability group. So you guys are blessed. You have this group already. Like maybe you add, a couple minutes on your meetings, or you meet outside, or whatever it is, or you do it via Zoom or Skype or the phone, or however you want to do it, but where you guys are supporting each other and you're learning together. All of you are going to go find a book or a class or a YouTube, share them with each other. Be like, this was an awesome video that taught me how to make a financial model. Or I read this great book, let me pass it on to the group. But the more that you're doing this together, the more efficient it is, and the more fun it's going to be. Okay, so I think this is the last slide. So you can connect with me on all social media, which I enjoy. If you actually want to speak to me, you have to email me, because I get 900,000 creepy, weird junk mail messages in LinkedIn. So please do not assume if I see your LinkedIn message that, if you send a LinkedIn message, that I will see it. There's online workshops, and that's the link. It's watchherworkcourses.teachable.com. I did this whole one on how to get funding. It is a very basic funding primer. It is very for people that have never raised funding. What I did was I surveyed a bunch of minority women who were super scared to get funding, and I asked, what are all the crazy questions you have, and then we answered them in these videos. So I think there's also a discount code I can give you. And then I just think everybody should empower themselves to get good at this, own it. This is business. If you want to be in business, one of the things, I don't want to hear any other woman ever say, I'm not good at numbers, I'm not good at math, I don't understand it, I can't do it. That's not true. It's not true. You didn't practice. It's like math. You had to practice math. Yes, some people were better at math than others, but pretty much just practice. It's the same thing with learning about finances. It's the same thing with playing the piano. You just got to do it. So commit the time each week, each month, whatever. This is an investment in yourself and in your family and in your business and in your personal growth.